cry, YouTube. Don't make me cry. So I would prefer everything be working as it's supposed to and not me having a mental breakdown because YouTube doesn't want to do its thing. But you know, maybe it'll work. At least I hope it will. I'm gonna be very sad. So, welcome on in. So, today we got some about nutrition on the menu. We got some stuff about steak, Waffle House, and the one that I'm really looking forward to is the one about the honey scam, which has been like flying through my Twitter feed. I do not know how many days now, but you know. So we're gonna get into that too, because I am super stoked. Little anxious too, because I haven't totally sat down to watch it. I'm gonna just sit here and watch it with all of you, and we're just gonna have a grand old time. Alright, let me just grab this. And if, as always, if the volume is screwy, please do let me know. Because it's hard, because I can't always necessarily tell when the volume gets all screwed up. I can't always tell. So do please tell me. Without further ado. That doesn't need to be playing right now. The Honey Influencer Scam from Megalag, which I think I did hear about. There's a class action I believe I heard not too long ago that's going on with this also, but I don't know for sure on that, but I can always look into that later. But for now, let's see what we got.
By now, you've probably heard about Honey. You know, the browser extension that saves you money.
Do you have Honey installed?
What's Honey?
Oh, no.
Honey.
Honey is a free browser extension.
Free browser extension.
Free browser extension.
Free browser extension.
That automatically applies coupon codes when you check out online.
Free money, basically.
It's literally free money.
It doesn't make sense to not be using this.
So what's the catch?
There is no catch.
Join Honey. Join Honey.
Join Honey.
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 Honey. Honey. Honey. Honey. Honey.
Okay, so I will say that if anything is free, it's not free. You are the product. There's no getting around that. Let it be whatever you're buying, your information, whatever it may be. You're the product. They're gonna make money off of that regardless. There's no getting around that. So the thing is, I always did wonder how does Honey make its money though? That's something I've wondered a lot when it comes to stuff like this. Well, I feel like I'm not gonna like the answer to this, but you know what? Let's see. Where's my cursor?
Honey. 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 Honey.
Chipmunk Boy.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but your favorite influencers sold you a lie. Honey is a scam, and the majority of claims promoted by those influencers aren't even remotely true. But it gets worse. Honey hasn't just been scamming you, the consumer, they've also been stealing money from influencers, including the very ones they paid to promote their product. And I'm not just talking about a few bucks here. I believe the scam has likely cost content creators millions of dollars. Sound crazy? Well, I didn't believe it at first either, until I experienced it myself firsthand. In fact, I'm confident this might just be the biggest influencer scam of all time, which is insane considering Honey is owned and run by PayPal, who purchased this company for $4 billion.
$4 billion, Jesus fuck. That's a lot. That's a pretty penny. That's life-changing. What the heck? But still, why?
This 3-part series is the result of a multi-year investigation where I believe I've uncovered signs of advertising fraud, affiliate fraud, the illegal collection of personal data,
Affiliate
deception,
fraud.
lies, coercion, extortion, the list goes on. I've reviewed hundreds of documents,
Never heard
adverts,
from affiliate fraud
sponsorships.
before.
I've reviewed emails between Honey and merchants, interviewed victims. Believe me, this runs deep. Now, I want to be clear. The views, allegations, and conclusions expressed in this series are my opinions,
Okay.
based on evidence I have gathered,
Alright.
which will be shared throughout. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Honey Trap.
Okay. Oh, that bill's gonna be back there. This really.
Now, I know what you're thinking. It's a free browser extension. How bad could it be? Well, trust me,
Pretty
it's
bad.
far more sinister than you might think. You know what they say, if a product's free, it's likely you're the product. And as
Yep.
you'll find out later in this investigation, that remains true for PayPal Honey. Now, like most people, I too fell for the lies. I mean, what's not to love about a free browser extension that saves you money?
Yeah.
It's a compelling product, and with the endorsement from what feels like every single popular influencer on YouTube, it's no wonder millions of people downloaded it. Ironically, the very influencers promoting Honey seemingly had no idea the company was quietly picking money out of their very own pockets. Well, at least one of them realized, but we'll get to that later. So let me show you how Honey's been stealing money from influencers. So let's say you're watching a video on YouTube. If you're into tech like me, maybe you're watching a Linus Tech Tips video. Linus tells you about this free browser extension that saves you money online. You install it in 2 clicks and boom, you have Honey. Perfect timing because it just so happens you're looking to buy a new CPU for your computer. You come across another Linus Tech Tips video and after watching, you're convinced you should buy the one recommended in his video. So you scroll down and find Linus's affiliate link to that product. Now, for those of you who don't know, when you click an affiliate link and buy something, the influencer who promoted the product earns a commission for referring you to that store. So you add the product to your cart, get to the checkout page, and hello, Honey says they found you 10 coupon codes. Sweet. You click apply discounts and Honey gets to work. But unfortunately, none of the coupon codes worked. Doesn't matter though, because as Honey has promised us for years, that means we know we've got the best deal. So you complete your purchase, you're happy, your new CPU's on the way, Linus is happy, he's getting his commission, everyone's happy, right? Well,
So wouldn't it just be like the equivalent of a salesperson in a store selling you something, and then this other person just comes on up, it's like, oh hey, we have all these. Do you want to try these? And then just jacking the sale? I haven't really thought about it that much, honestly. It's a little wild. But then, I don't know. It's a little complicated. A little too complicated for my little brain right now for this.
well, let's quickly rewind and see what was happening behind the scenes.
Okay.
You see, after clicking Linus's affiliate link, you'll notice in the URL, there's a tracking tag labeled Short Circuit. That's
Right.
a reference to one of Linus's YouTube channels. And this tracking tag is how Newegg knows who to pay a commission to. We can
Right.
also see that this tracking tag has been saved on my browser in the form of a cookie that will expire in 30 days. That way, if we only decide to
Okay.
complete the purchase a
Makes
few
sense.
days later, Linus will still be credited the sale. It's kind of like when you're at a department store buying a TV and the salesman who helped you gives you a referral card or a receipt with their name on it, so when you eventually get to the checkout counter, the clerk knows which salesman to award the sale to. You can think of
Okay.
affiliate cookies as a digital version of that. So what happened when we got to the checkout page? Well, once Honey popped up, watch what happened to Linus's affiliate cookie after we clicked apply discounts. You see that? Honey came in, removed Linus's affiliate cookie, and replaced it with their own, claiming credit for the sale and pocketing the commission money.
That's so fucked. What the actual fuck? That's insane. No. No. You know, just watching this is just reminding me, because I do have affiliate links for stuff like Advanced. And there have been times where it's like, it's like, oh yeah, your link was clicked, and it's like, oh yeah, your code was used, but you didn't get shit. And now I'm just wondering if this had something to do with it now. Like, this is insane. It's nuts.
For themselves. Yeah. Now, if we quickly go back again, we can see what's causing this to happen. After clicking apply discounts,
can't be
what you'll
legal
notice is that in the top
everywhere.
left
It's
corner
like,
of your browser,
no way.
Honey discreetly opens a small new tab, which acts like a simulated referral click, as if they were the ones to refer you to the website, even though you're already on the website and at the checkout page. Once that page is finished loading and has stuffed PayPal's affiliate cookie, the tab automatically closes, leaving you blissfully unaware that anything ever happened. It's very sneaky. Now, when I first discovered this was happening, I thought, there's no way. Why would all these high-profile influencers be promoting a company that is actively poaching their affiliate commissions? It didn't make any sense. So to make sure I wasn't going crazy, I went on a Honey testing spree, clicking one affiliate link after another, and it kept happening. But even after all those tests, I scoured the internet to see if anyone was talking about this and found nothing. Okay, there was this one debate about it on the Y Combinator forum, but nothing concrete. Besides that, virtually nobody was talking about this, adding fuel to my doubt. So I figured, screw it. I'll reach out to Honey and ask them directly. And sure enough, they came back to me with the following. If Honey is activated and is the last program used while shopping on a site, it is likely Honey will receive credit for the purchase. I was right, and just like that, my investigation
at least
into
they're
Honey
honest about
began.
it.
Now, some might consider what PayPal's doing here dirty or highly unethical, but personally, I can't see how it's anything short of fraud. I mean, just imagine something like this happening in a real-world scenario. Let's say you're at a department store looking to buy a new TV. A salesman spends time running you through your options. You decide to buy, he gives you his referral card, you get to the checkout, and right as you're about to pay, a sleazy salesman pops up going, "Hey, shall I check if I have any coupon codes for you?" Naturally, you say sure. He snatches your referral card without you ever noticing, looks for coupons, says, "Sorry, no luck this time," but instead of handing back the original referral
Look at my
card,
screen. What the fuck? No, screen, work with me. Did I hit something? Just when I thought I could get through a day without scuff. Or terrible scuff. Tacos and nachos and I don't know what else. Words are hard right now. Did I hit something in OBS maybe? No? One day I will have a scuff-free stream. I hope my kid, I'm a VTuber, I'm not allowed to have those. Let's try this again.
he hands back his own. PayPal didn't refer the customer to the store, they didn't promote any of the products, the salesman did that. PayPal provided absolutely zero value to the customer, yet they were
Hey, look,
rewarded for
Glenn,
the sale.
Glenn.
But because
Oh,
this
it's
is
got-
all happening online, buried behind clicks and cookies and tracking data, there's little to no transparency that this is ever
Yeah, I
happening.
have a meeting to watch this
Okay,
and haven't
but
gotten
what if
around
Honey
to it.
had found a working coupon code? Would that make it okay for them to claim the commission? Honestly, no, I don't think so. The fact remains that Honey didn't refer the customer to the store, nor did they promote the product. Look, don't get me wrong, I'm a consumer myself. Saving money matters, especially when money's tight. But this scam doesn't just affect wealthy influencers. There are hundreds of thousands of small creators, bloggers, artists who rely on affiliate commissions to support their craft. Sure, you could argue that Honey may have convinced the consumer to complete the purchase by providing a discount. But let's be real, if you're
Same.
already at the checkout with your items in your cart, you already have a high intent to purchase. And again, this would never fly in a real life sales environment.
Absolutely.
No department store is going to allow a salesman to hang out at the checkout counter, casually handing out coupon codes while simultaneously stealing commissions
I love
from the
this
other sales
analogy.
reps. So why are we allowing a corporate giant like PayPal to do it on the internet? Now, believe it or not, this first example I just showed you with Linus is just one of 3 scenarios in which Honey poaches affiliate commissions, and the next scenarios are even worse. But before I show you how bad scenario 2 is, it's important you understand the fundamental system Honey is exploiting.
Alright.
You see, in affiliate marketing, there's this thing called last click attribution, which basically means last click wins. For example, you might click on a shoe blogger's affiliate link for a pair of Nikes, but you don't buy right away. Later, you click on a YouTuber's link for the same shoes and complete the purchase. In this scenario, the YouTuber gets the commission and the blogger gets nothing. There are other models like first click, where the blogger would win the commission, or dynamic click, where the commission is shared. But the industry went with last click because while it's not always the fairest, it's the easiest to implement. Therefore, it became the industry standard. Now, when it's blogger versus YouTuber for a sale, honestly, I'd say last click is usually fair. But when it's anyone versus Honey, there's no real competition. Honey pops up right at the end of your purchasing journey, virtually guaranteeing they'll win that last click. They of course know this and do anything they can to get that last click, even when there's no coupon codes to offer. Which brings us to scenario 2. Honey Gold, which is now called PayPal Rewards. Here's how it works. When you get to the checkout and Honey Gold is available, Honey pops up and is essentially saying, hey you, consumer, click this button here so PayPal can claim the commission for the sale, and we'll share a portion of that commission money with you in the form of points. It's basically a lame cashback scheme. And it's genius because if there are no coupons to offer, but the store is participating in Honey Gold, it gives Honey another reason to get that last click. How can you—
Hold on. Does Honey bribe the stores? Like, my brain is just having such a hard time with this right now. Like, cause the thing is like, it's a lot, and the thing is, like, I know, like, not every, like, website or whatever participates in Honey, so... But, like, look, I already have that sneaking feeling that, like, I've probably lost at least a couple commissions from these guys anyway from other stuff, but, like, it's insane! They steal from the people who promo them. But, like, okay, hear me out, though. What if it's the actual store, though? Because the thing is I've found codes on the internet that, like, Honey didn't even try, or use, or add to the repertoire. So, like, they have to make money somehow. Well, that's what I'm saying, like, I have been on the internet to look for a code for something, because I was curious, and I was like, well, here's this code. But the thing is, I had Honey installed, and it ran through, and I was like, yeah, none of these codes we have work. And then I tried the code I had anyway, that I got gotten earlier, and it worked. So, like, I hate this so much. And I'm not even halfway through this. It's weird.
YouTubers, bloggers, or any other type of affiliate fairly compete against this type of mechanism. Of course the consumer's gonna click, and of course they're going to win the sale. Now this got me thinking, how much of their commission are they actually sharing with users? Well, to find out, I decided to put Honey Gold to the test. So I looked for any website where Honey Gold was offered and found it on NordVPN. And no, this is not a sneaky sponsorship. So I signed up for NordVPN's affiliate program, which offers 40% commission on successful referrals. Right. After getting approved into the program, I received a custom affiliate link for my YouTube channel.
Right.
Using this link, I made 2 separate purchases. For the first, I activated Honey Gold, and sure enough, you can see my affiliate cookie was replaced with Honey's. And for the second, I didn't activate Honey Gold. As expected, I was awarded a $35 commission for the sale where Honey Gold wasn't activated, and received nothing when Honey Gold was activated. For the first time, I experienced Honey poaching my own affiliate commission. So how much of my stolen $35 commission did PayPal share as cash back with my Honey account?
Pennies.
AKA the
It's
consumer.
pennies.
Brace yourselves. 89 points, which is equivalent to 89 cents USD. That's right. Honey poached a $35 commission for doing nothing.
Garbage.
And rewarded me a grand total of 89 cents. Thanks, PayPal. You really shouldn't have.
So life-changing.
No, seriously, you really shouldn't have. Now,
Okay, keep the
on to
89
scenario
cents at
3.
that point.
For
What
you
the
ladies
fuck?
out there, let's say you're looking for a new outfit. Your favorite influencer tries on something that slays, you click on their affiliate link and get to the checkout. But in this scenario, Honey knows it has nothing to offer. No coupon codes, no Honey Gold, yet it still pops up to announce absolutely nothing. Annoying as fuck. Naturally, you click the got it button to get rid of the annoying dancing coin, and whoa, what's that? PayPal takes the sale. Why? Because fuck you, Mary, that's your commission. But wait, there's
That's
more.
insane.
My personal favorite is when Honey has nothing to offer, so it pops up offering you to check out with PayPal, even though the option is already available at the checkout page. And of course, if you click the checkout button, PayPal poaches the sale. Classy. As I was saying,
And we got Honey, and then we got like what's that ad blocker now that's advertising to pay you for ads? What is it called? Pi, I think. Like, come on, guys, please. Like, I had faith in Honey when I was younger, but then I got smarter and decided I didn't want to be the product anymore for stuff, so I didn't use it. And that's where I've been since. And honestly, it's kind of like even more so now because I do commission more stuff, so it's like even more so. I'm just like, it makes me so mad. Because I know, like, for me, it's the case where I don't make much anyway from commission. I mean, I don't even really push for it, to be entirely honest with you. But the thing is, I know people that do very much heavily. They push their commission, they push their sponsorships, they push their partnerships really, really loudly and well. And it makes me mad for them. Because they put in all this work, they put in all this effort trying to promo, get people to make the sales and all. And then you got this fucking guy coming on over here and being like, hey, click this, and I'm just going to steal your freaking commission and all that work you did. And you ain't getting shit. Honestly, I'm wondering if Pi is ran by the same guys who started with Honey. But that's a hole I'm not willing to dive in right now. And I think, isn't Honey in a class action being in the process of being sued now, I think? I'm not entirely sure. But if they aren't, I think they should be. But what do I know? I'm just a cat girl on the internet.
Honey uses any excuse possible to get that last click from the user. It's absolutely disgusting. I can't even begin to fathom how much money has been lost at the hands of this browser extension. Imagine being the influencers who promoted Honey, telling your audience, who by the way are the most likely to use your affiliate links, to download an app that poaches your affiliate sales. It's crazy. Now, to be clear, not every influencer who promoted Honey engages in affiliate marketing, so those who don't are obviously
I don't
unaffected.
do that entirely.
But did any of the
because
influencers who are engaging in
I
affiliate
would feel
marketing
so
ever
guilty.
catch on to what Honey's been doing? Well, it turns out yes, at least one of them did. Linus Tech Tips, who have been promoting Honey since 2017. So here's how I found this out. You see, one day I was browsing Linus's forum to see if anyone had raised a red flag about Honey. And sure enough, back in 2020, someone sounded the alarm, but it was ultimately ignored. However, in 2022, a different user noticed that LMG were no longer promoting Honey and asked the team if they had been dropped as a sponsor, to which one of Linus's employees
you thought
responded
that.
with, "We ended the partnership with Honey due to the way their service interacted with affiliate links. Essentially, if someone clicked on an affiliate link and then they use Honey and search for a deal, Honey will override that tracking link even if they don't find you a deal. That didn't jive with us, so we ended the partnership." Okay, so they had no
So they knew, but they didn't tell anybody. Why? Because I would think, on one hand, knowing you're a massive creator, who can generate a lot of commission, because since we're talking Linus in this case, I would think you would want your fellow creators to know. I would think. At least give them the heads up, like, hey, these guys, they'll take your commission if you're not careful. Because, you know, people are just going to click the links. But then I guess on the other side of the coin, you don't really necessarily want to talk bad about a prior sponsor because it looks bad. Like, I know, like, me personally, I would have told him. Oh, I would have been yelling it to this clouds and back. But that might just be because I have a different stance, and the thing is, I don't really, like, yeah, bad-mouthing a prior sponsor is probably not a good look, but, like, still. I think it just has to do with my line of values. That it's kind of just boggling to me. Because I couldn't imagine just knowing that and not saying anything to anyone else. Yeah, like, they're gonna do what people are gonna do what they want to do. Like, yeah, but the thing is, it bothers me. Like, I know mega corporations suck, massive corporations suck, companies suck. They 99% of them operate for profit, and they do not care. And a lot of them, they don't have the morals, they don't have ethics, especially in this freaking case. Which I'm curious if honey's banned in certain countries, I'm wondering. But it's just like, maybe I'm too innocent, maybe I'm too nice. But it makes me so mad.
No idea this was happening, and it took them several years to catch on. That's quite telling, because we're talking about a tech-savvy YouTube channel that's run by a very large team. The fact that it took them several years to figure this out, in my opinion, really underscores the deceptive nature with which Honey operates. If Linus and his team didn't know, I can't imagine many other influencers would have known either. Now, I have to say, as a longtime viewer and supporter of Linus's channel, I'm incredibly disappointed they weren't more public with this discovery. I get this specific issue doesn't directly affect their viewers, but surely they must have realized the wider impact this could be having on the creator community, a community they're a part of. I think that matters. And it's not as though they only promoted Honey once or twice. They did approximately 160 sponsored segments, all of which remain live on YouTube. Those videos have accumulated around 194 million views. According to my data, that makes Linus's company, LMG, the third largest promoter of Honey on YouTube. So yeah, in my opinion, they should have made more noise about this. But what's truly baffling to me is that after LMG ended their partnership with Honey, they then went ahead and partnered with a company called Karma Now, a coupon browser extension that literally engages in similar behavior.
Oh my god.
I did reach out to LMG about this situation, and I'll be honest, their response was not to my satisfaction. They didn't address the majority of my questions, however, they did at least provide some important context about their dealings with Honey. LMG stated that as soon as these issues with Honey were brought to us, we tried to work with them to remedy them. After a few calls, we were informed that they weren't willing to change, so we stopped working with them across all channels. So let me get this straight. One of Honey's biggest promoters goes to them and says, "Hey, can you please stop overriding our affiliate links?" And Honey effectively goes, no, not happening. Assuming I've got that correct, and if true, that just goes to show what little regard Honey has not only for content creators, but also their partners. Now, as for LMG's less than ideal response, I did press Linus's team to address the rest of my questions, but never heard back from them. But it's time to shift gears, because unfortunately, this scam runs much deeper than stolen affiliate commissions. It's time we talk about how Honey used these influencers to sell you a complete lie. How they sold you a product that was doing the opposite of what they promised. You see, as I was testing Honey across different stores, I was encountering a reoccurring issue. When I reached the checkout page, Honey would claim it couldn't find me any coupon codes. Yet when I searched manually, I found working codes with ease. And even when Honey did find me a code, I was often able to find another code of better value. Kind of strange, given their claim that,
well, thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is now a thing of the past.
Another oddity was that Honey would often only find me Honey branded coupon codes, such as Honey 5 or Honey 10. Why would a store only have Honey branded coupon codes? Kind of weird, right? But the biggest
So they
red
don't give them
flag
the
was that
code.
when I tried submitting the better coupon codes I'd found, Honey wasn't adding them to their database. So why not? Well, eventually I figured out what
It's
was
a
going on. It turns out that one of the key benefits for stores partnering with Honey is that they are given full control over which coupon codes go live on the platform, if any at all. I discovered this while listening to a podcast produced by Honey,
This is a
which appears to be
goddamn
aimed at
conspiracy.
attracting new businesses to joining their platform. In this podcast, an employee from the Australian clothing store, Princess Polly, discusses the benefits of partnering with Honey.
What would you say to any brand that is considered working with Honey but hasn't yet?
I would say missing out on converting customers. Like I said before, Gen Z is super discount savvy. You can't ignore the fact that they will hunt for like discount codes and they might find a better deal. With Honey, you can also control the discount code percentage, which means like they will potentially find a higher discount code on the internet. It literally lets you control like the customer journey, convert and control like the discount code percentage as well.
This is insane. She's basically saying Honey is great for businesses because it encourages users not to bother hunting for coupon codes, and it allows businesses to control which coupon codes are shared with consumers. Now, I was able to further verify this on Honey's website, specifically the FAQ page for partners, which clearly states, as a partner, you have control over the content hosted on the Honey platform. So yes, even if Honey knows of a coupon code that offers say 20% off, but a partnering store tells them, hey, only share a 5% off coupon, then that's the only discount Honey will apply to your cart at the checkout page. I mean, holy shit. Honey wasn't finding you the best deals possible. They were intentionally withholding them from you for their own financial gain. This completely invalidates
That's like
Honey's core value proposition to consumers.
illegal.
For years, they sold you the lie that they would find you every working coupon code on the internet and apply the best one to your cart. But nope,
I hate this.
complete and
I
utter
hate
lie.
this.
They have literally
I hate
been
this.
feeding you coupon codes that were approved by the partnered stores who were paying them. And can I just say, the double messaging here is hilarious. Because on one hand, Honey has appealed to consumers by promising to find the best deals possible.
Well,
But
they
on the
false
other hand,
advertising?
they appeal to businesses claiming that Honey helps prevent consumers from finding the best deals. It's absurd. Now, when you think about it, this all makes complete sense. I mean, why would any online business pay Honey for sharing their highest value coupon codes with its 20 million users? That's not an appealing partnership whatsoever. So, to make a partnership more attractive, Honey told businesses, hey, if you partner with us and pay us an affiliate commission, we'll let you control which discount codes are shared on our platform. And we'll tell our consumers we scoured the internet and found them the best deal possible. Everybody wins. Just not the consumers or the influencers. With this discovery, I decided to do a thorough audit of Honey's advertising campaigns.
Oh boy,
And
here we
yikes,
go.
the ads, the sponsorships, everywhere you look, it's lie after lie. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up going down as one of the most aggressive, shameless marketing scams of the century. Just look at this insane list of videos that were sponsored by Honey. According to my data, they sponsored almost 5,000 videos across roughly 1,000 different YouTube channels, racking up an unbelievable 7.8 billion views. It's crazy. So now that we have a clearer picture of how Honey operates, let's reflect on some of their claims.
Honey will find every working code on the internet and apply the best one to your cart.
If Honey can't find a discount code for you, then you can rest assured there's not a single discount or promo code on
No one
Honey.
likes you.
extension automatically finds the best promo code for anything you online. You literally don't spend money.
Honey searches the internet for every promo code ever used. This means you always get the best deals without even trying.
What Honey does is take money and they put it in your pocket.
If there is any way to save money on your purchase, they'll find it.
Getting you the lowest prices possible at checkout.
You are always going to get the best deal no matter
No.
where you're shopping. Amazon, eBay,
You're
Best Buy,
not.
doesn't matter. Honey's got your butt covered.
If Honey can't find a code, you have the best deal.
It really puts into perspective just how shady this company is, doesn't it? Now, believe it or not, the Better Business Bureau launched an inquiry into Honey's advertising claims, but after Honey immediately discontinued the claims for, quote, business reasons, the BBB decided to drop the case. Honestly,
So
at this point in my
close.
investigation, I thought I'd seen the worst of it. I thought I understood the full picture of Honey's.
It gets worse. How can this get worse? How can... No. There is no way this can get worse than it already is. Like, no, there is no freaking way. No way whatsoever. I refuse to believe that this can get any worse than it is. There's just no way.
Shady business model. But here's the thing. What I haven't told you is that there were instances where Honey would actually work really well, finding me incredible discounts that seemed almost too good to be true. Now, it wasn't very often, but enough to confuse me. And there were even times when they weren't poaching affiliate commissions by claiming the credit for sales. These inconsistencies bugged me. It didn't add up with everything else I had discovered. It was clear I was missing something. Well, once I finally figured out what that was, I uncovered an even darker side to PayPal scam. One that targeted an entirely new victim.
We started having problems where customers would get in touch via our support saying, oh hey, I just tried to use this discount, this 60% off coupon, and it doesn't work. I'd be like, dude, that is not your discount, like how did you get that? And they'd be like, oh, I just showed up through the Honey extension.
Yeah, it cost us thousands, and I haven't even looked into how far back it went.
At the end of the day, like, you need to make the numbers work, and if Honey is going to steal 10% of your revenue all the time, you're going to have to raise prices at the end of the day, and it's just like a really awful business model. Like, we've been so mad at them for so long.
Did they like give people like the partner codes? That's wild. That's freaking wild. Like, holy... I don't even know what to think. Like, that's a lot to unpack. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised because there's a lot of... It sounds too good to be completely true, but like... That was a lot. That was a lot to take in.
FBI, open up!
Hey, Zayd's Daddy, welcome on in. Don't you bring the FBI here. We ain't doing anything suspicious. You're being suspicious. You didn't do shit. Hey, no! You keep your bonks to yourself. Or so help me. That was a bit though. I hope you're doing well today, man. I hope you're doing well. Yep. Now I'm curious though, because it's like part of me wants to think there is places that Honey can't be used because of the business practice, but now I'm curious. I know certain places have more like protections and stuff. But biggest progress 100, biggest no. so much for that follow, Mad Gamer. Hope you're doing well today. 10 days since you moved to Arizona. Good one, good stuff, good stuff. I could never do the Arizona heat. I could never. But yeah, if it's 2025, I hope it's a good year for you. My 2025 did not start off very good because of work. I had a guy that was crashing out really bad to start the year, so my new year did not kick off with it at all because of work. But you know what? We make it work. We make it work. Just when one wants to move away from the downward spiral that is California. Well, I mean, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Some places are better than worse, others, but you know. What can you do? So, we have not really had any escalations of the work vandalism. But then with that said, we did a lot of clearing out where I work, or at least our client did. So they've been. So I'm thinking that the main offenders may or may not have been terminated for other reasons, but you know, I don't want to say anything. But yeah, so far so good. But we have a bigger problem now, though. Thank you so much for that follow, 49ers. But so, like, the thing is we nipped one issue in the bud that we haven't been having to deal with. But then we have one that's a little more concerning. Even though, like, yeah, hate speech vandalism is pretty bad. But, so, as I may have mentioned before, I work in a climate-controlled warehouse that does a giant food distribution center. So, the thing is, at one point, someone, we don't know who, we don't know how it happened, but someone got into the underground wiring that we have for some of our cameras that watch part of the yard. So we've kind of had a bigger issue on our hands right now, trying to figure out how that even happened, and importantly to not have that happen again, because oh my god, that was the one giant paperwork headache I'm happy I didn't have to deal with, but holy shit. Yeah. But we haven't had any recently, thankfully, but you know, you never know. Look, man, look. I've had people try to walk out with an entire pallet of lemons thinking that we won't notice. Just taking the pallet out the front door. Like, my brother, what are you gonna do with an entire pallet full of lemons? Seriously. Hey, welcome on Striker, hope you're doing. Like, there's no reason. Like, why would you even do a giant pallet of lemons? Like, even if you do the, even if you make like a bunch of lemonade or whatever, you're still gonna have a whole bunch of lemons left over. Like, I can't, even if I make lemonade, like, this is not your concern when it was paddling. I have concerns if you're what you do with the paddle lemons. Like, if I was able to take a paddle lemon somewhere, I'm taking it to the shelter. That's what I do. Everything else be damned. And I might take a couple extra to make some lemonade. You never worked in a place where someone can steal a paddle lemons. You see, here's the thing. Here's the thing that gets me. It was how they attempted to do it. Because the thing is that if they had tried to take the lemons from the actual warehouse side of the building, I would have been less likely to see them, even though they wouldn't have gotten spotted by all the other cameras over there. But you know, the amount of work it takes to take the powder lemons, to take it out of the warehouse, and then you have to somehow get it, because we also have the sales corporate office kind of stuff as well in the same building on the other side, which is where my desk is. So they had the bright idea that we're going to take this pallet here that we have. We're going to somehow bring it out of the warehouse and take it out the employee entrance. Hello? How? It's just, no. You don't just... Like, how did you think you weren't going to be seen? Like, the pallet is almost as wide as the freaking hallway. Come on now. Please. Use your head. It was the stupidest report I think I've ever had to file since I worked there, but like, come on, please, please. Use your head. He was Idiot of the Week. Yeah. Like, I get it, everything is expensive, times are hard, but like, come on now. Getting yourself fired from your work for trying to take a whole thing of lemons is not going to make your situation any better than it is. And I'm saying that just going off, we're living off of chicken and rice bowls right now. Gotta find a video. What you hit me with, Minnow? Let me just pop this up in here real quick. Yeah, people are wild. And the thing is, I get it though, that like, you don't always think, you don't think clearly when you're desperate. You never do. I don't know why they thought the paddle lemons was a good idea, and I don't think I ever will either. But it's a lot. Alright. What is this? Okay, I just got really dear. Where did my list of videos go? Alright. Let's see, where did my list of videos go? I'm losing absolutely everything today. And you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Oh, so Legal Eagle is suing Honey apparently? I'm curious. So I think we're gonna hit that video up first. And then we can get into all the other stuff. Yeah, I just saw a thing about Legal Eagle's video about I'm suing Honey, so we're gonna go look into that since we just watched the video on the Honey scam. So we're gonna give this a watch, and then we're gonna get back into our other regularly scheduled stuff that was had planned, at least video wise. I need my right. Where is? No, that's not it. That's not it. No, wait. Is this one? I think it's this one. It is this one. Alright. Legal Eagle. I'm suing Honey. Which I don't really watch Legal Eagle stuff here, so I'm a little curious. They're gonna pay pals. Oh, that is great. They're gonna pay pals. I love that. Alrighty. Let's see what we got.
In YouTube history, the biggest YouTube scam has just been revealed.
Honey, one of the largest influencer scams.
This might just be the biggest influencer scam of all time.
Honey has been revealed to be a complete scam.
The coupon mafia?
I think it's scummy as hell. I hesitate to call it illegal because I just genuinely don't know. I need a legal video.
And I think Honey should be sued for it. I am glad that everybody is now aware that Honey has a corrupt business model.
We interrupt today's scheduled program for new legal from Legal Eagle. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening right now.
Creators are saying that Honey is a scam. They believe that Honey steals from creators. So on behalf of creators everywhere, I have filed a class action lawsuit to stop it. So, how did we get here? Well, as you probably know, the entire creator economy works on affiliate links. The question that everyone on the internet wants to know when you're making a purchase is, how did you get here? Honey allegedly interjects itself into that chain, erases all the past history and says, I'm the one responsible, often harming consumers in the process by replacing a coupon or discount code with a Honey-related code.
Go to every computer in your house, your mom's, your dad's, your sister, your brother's computer, and install Honey.
No,
Well,
Mr.
if
Beast.
this is true, the consumers would be harmed by this practice. Creators are getting absolutely screwed.
Let's say you're at a department store looking to buy a new TV. A salesman spends time running you through your options. You decide to buy,
This
he gives you his
Jackie Chan
referral
was
card,
sure.
you get to the checkout, and right as you're about to pay, a sleazy salesman pops up going, hey, should I check if I have any coupon codes for you? Naturally, you say sure. He snatches your referral card without you ever noticing, looks for coupons, says sorry, no luck this time, but instead of handing back the original referral card, he hands back his own.
It's free money, they say. But we believe that nothing could be further from the truth. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Right.
We believe that money came right out of the pockets of your favorite YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagrammers, podcasts, and bloggers. Now, you might have seen Megalag's expose. It's incredible. You should absolutely support him on Patreon, link in the description. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I want to dig deeper because this is something that could affect every creator and influencer on every platform.
All
And I
right.
mean everyone. Creators, viewers, advertisers, even the companies that provide goods and services. Now, as you probably know, making videos or posts can be an expensive endeavor. And when you think about it, it's kind of incredible that platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok are free. And they can afford to be so because they rely on advertising. Now, that might come in the form of programmatic ads that are interjected while you're watching, or it might come from a sponsorship provided by the actual creator that you're watching or listening to. And if a creator runs a sponsorship or has an affiliate relationship, they'll probably tell you to do one of two things. Either click on the link in the description or the comments, or use their promo code. You, the audience member, probably get a nice discount. and the creator gets credit for sending that customer. This is attribution, as we call it in the biz. And if you end up buying that thing, the creator might get a percentage, a commission, a flat fee, or if enough people sign up, they might get another sponsorship in the future. And in all of those cases, everything depends on knowing how many people signed up because of that creator. And when you click on that link or use the creator's promo code, the brand knows where you came from and who sent you. At least, that's the way that it's supposed to work. Honey allegedly built their business on breaking that chain. As Megalag and others have explained, and as we aver, Honey interjects itself at the last possible moment and erases evidence of the real person who was responsible and takes credit. It looks like Honey opens up a new tab or refreshes the checkout page and replaces the creator's information with Honey's information, and most importantly, Honey's attribution codes. The creator gets nothing. We believe that Honey pockets that money that would have otherwise gone to the creator. Imagine if you're listening to a podcast. You actually can't really click on a link, so the only way that they can get attribution is by a listener using their promo code.
Yep.
But we believe that even if you use the creator's code, if you also used Honey at the same time, Honey likely replaced that promo code with their own. But it's not just sponsorships. When you click on a programmatic ad, you know, those skippable or unskippable ads that just get shoved into a video you're watching or interjected to the feed that you're scrolling through, well, those have tracking links too. Those often contain exactly the same kind of affiliate data. Again, the companies want to know where you came from. They want to know which ads are effective and which creator's audience is a good fit for them. Different creators receive a different amount of money per view depending on their personality and the makeup of their audience. But once again, if you click on one of those ads and use an extension like Honey, Honey will allegedly come in at the last second and destroy attribution, taking credit and pocketing the money. And at the same time, Honey appears to market itself as a way to save consumers additional money, but that doesn't appear to be the case. We believe that Honey unjustly enriches itself by swapping creator attribution under the guise of a coupon check, even when it's unable to provide any additional value to the consumer or when there are no coupons. I believe that Honey lied to consumers about what it offered. And I believe that Honey lied to creators about what it was doing. And perhaps the worst part about all of this is that Honey, now owned by PayPal, allegedly made creators the unwitting accomplices in stealing from their own pocketbooks. Think about how insidious this all was. Honey spent tens of millions of dollars, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars, sponsoring some of the most beloved and successful creators on the planet. Honey allegedly seeded those audiences with their extension. And that extension probably stayed on their audience's browsers like a sleeping leech, waiting for the viewer to conduct a transaction. And thus, forever after, the creator's future sponsorships and future affiliate relationships and advertisements were devalued now that the creator's audience was infected. The exact people who would be most likely to listen to the recommendations of that creator, which, by the way, is the reason that it's so important for creators to vet their sponsors and make sure that they believe in the products, were now likely to be sniped. Whenever those viewers or listeners clicked on the creator's link or used the creator's promo code, Honey would allegedly swoop in and steal the attribution. We believe that PayPal's Honey is a drag on the entire creator economy. If you're a creator and you've ever used an affiliate link, run a sponsorship, or allowed ads, we believe it's possible that Honey has interjected itself and parasitically taken away your attribution. Even if you've never even heard of Honey until now, advertisers spent $30 billion on advertising on YouTube AdSense alone in 2023. Presumably, those companies made a lot more revenue than they spent on advertising. But how many billions of that went to Honey? I'm honestly surprised that extensions like Honey, Karma, Capital One Shopping, and Pi are even allowed on the Apple App Store or the Google Extension Marketplace. So I say, enough is enough. It's time to put my money where my mouth is. So I, along with some other great attorneys, filed suit on behalf of all creators and businesses who've been harmed by PayPal. Because there are so many people, we filed the class action suit, seeking damages for the money that we believe prevented from reaching creators, so we can give it back to creators. And equally important, we're suing for an injunction to stop Honey's practices in the future. If you're a creator or a business who thinks that they've been harmed by Honey, please reach out to my law firm by either going to honeylawsuit.com or by reaching out via email at honeycase@eagleteam.law. We want to hear from you. This isn't only about people who ran a Honey sponsorship, but rather anyone who might have had their attribution taken by Honey. We believe that things like running a promo code, affiliate link, or tracking tag is enough to be caught in their web. And finally, Honey PayPal. I will see you in court.
So, a Google extension is basically any extension that you can get. So it could be like, it's like some people have their ad blockers as extensions. It's basically just a little something that runs in your browser. So it could be from Google, it could be an ad blocker, it could be a lot of things. I mean, even like Twitch has extensions too. For like Better Twitch or like Freaker Zombie, something like that. But yeah, it's just a little something extra that runs on your browser. So Honey, ad blockers, they're all considered extensions. Yeah. I am really curious. I know like this kind of lawsuit is going to take years, but I am very curious to see how this one plays out. Because I know that's going to take a while. Because we all know giant companies just gonna try and drag it out until they don't have money. It's okay, man. It's okay. I mean, like, it keeps like ad blockers. Like, YouTube's been fighting really hard to thwart the ad blockers. So, I don't blame if someone bought premium, because sometimes I don't know whether or not my ad blocker will work or not. I don't actually know anymore. It's always a hit or a miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And that's alright. So, what do you guys think? Do you think PayPal's gonna just try and settle that out of court, or do you think it's gonna go actually hit the courtrooms? I want to hear your thoughts, guys. I want to hear them. PayPal probably drop it. Yeah, probably. More likely they probably would want to settle out of court, because that's not going to be a pretty look. But, you know, we never know. Didn't make it, nor is the product directly links to dropping will be much easier. Well, who knows, honestly. Because we already know that they've gotten a whole ton of negative publicity right now. Not necessarily PayPal, but what is it? Honey, which is currently owned by PayPal. So they'll probably, like, I think that realistically they'll probably just try and pay it off, or just drag the suit out as long as they can and just hope it gets dropped. Because PayPal has the resources and money to drag it out. Yeah, the scams definitely do keep evolving. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if one of my commissions were jacked. I wouldn't have been surprised, because I have, like, because I can see, like, where I've had a commission, like my code and everything was used. I can see it. I can see what was bought, and then it's just like no money. And honestly, I don't push commissions hard anyway, so it's kind of it's like a whatever for me right now. But for those that rely on those, I feel for them, because I work full time, so I don't have to rely on commission and all that. I don't have to rely on giant sponsorships. Yes, it is in their information, but who knows? Because the thing is, at the end of the day, we all know that if they tried to do that in an actual store, in a physical location, we all know it wouldn't fly. I am currently live on both Twitch and YouTube right now, yes. My chat overlay just is not working right now for some reason. One day Mix It Up will work with me full time and make it work. But yeah, same channel name on Twitch. But yeah, it's a little wild. I mean, I do want to see at least something good come out of the suit. Like, I'm not expecting them to just yield and all that, because they've had a very lucrative model, and I'm not expecting them to just yield on it, but yeah. Appreciate you, Zadokia. But all this talk about lawsuits is kind of making me hungry. So got this video here suggested by oh yeah, I forgot that term was banned. Whoopsie. I'll have to fix that later. I mean, one day it'll work. Like the other day, the mixed chat overlay worked. The last stream we had where we were playing Little Kitty in Big City, and then now the chat overlay isn't working right now. So I don't know. I'm not even bothering to try and figure it out right now because it's not worth the headache. It's probably something stupid. So, okay, let me see. Who suggested this video? Thank you so much for the follow, Colonel Boy. Hope you're doing well today. So, this video we're getting into was suggested by Queen. Is expensive steak worth it? So, I am actually really curious here because I've only probably made steak maybe a couple times. Yeah, I know it's quieter on YouTube. I know, I'm sorry. YouTube doesn't get a lot of streams because YouTube doesn't like working with me when I try to go live. Or then there'll be times where I'll be trying to do Kitchen Nightmares or Hell's Kitchen, and then I'll have STV with me, and then YouTube will decide I'll try and pull down the stream, and it's a whole entire mess. So I specifically made sure today to not do anything that is copyrighted, so we can have streams on both today. Yeah, I get that, man. I get that. Alrighty. So, is expensive steak worth it? Let's find out.
In this video, we are doing a deep dive into steak, and specifically, we're going to look at 4 key areas. First, what do all these different terms such as grain-fed versus grass-fed, Angus versus Wagyu, or choice versus prime really mean? Secondly, are certain steaks like grass-fed and finished ones actually healthier for you? Third, is
No, not the ads. It's okay. Let me know when you're free of ads. I'll wait. I will gladly wait. Don't worry. I got you. I got you guys. Don't worry. I'll wait. I know you can't hear me right now because I had on Twitch. Hey, freedom.
Expensive beef generally more humane and better for the environment? And lastly, can you actually tell a difference between all of these cuts in blind taste tests? So I bought a bunch of different steaks at various price points, from choice versus prime, grain-fed versus pasture-raised versus grass-finished, and ran them through several different blind tests to get to the bottom of this.
And I think this might be my favorite steak from all the tests I've done so far. But let me explain, because that's a little bit misleading.
By the end of this video, I promise that you will understand all the differences and nuances in the steaks that are available for you to buy, so you can ultimately make a confident purchasing decision. Because let's face it, it's never been more confusing as a consumer when purchasing steak.
Before we dive in, a question I commonly get asked is, what are your most used cooking items? And for the past several years, that answer has been the same, and it is this carbon steel griddle from today's sponsor, Made In. And there are three main reasons why. First, the griddle spans 2 burners, so I can really maximize my cooking space. And you kind of feel like you're in a restaurant or bodega setting with the flat top, because you can make a bunch of different quick cooking meals. Reason number 2, it's really easy to clean. So I never actually bring this thing over to the sink. What I'll do after cooking is just give it a quick scrape with my spatula and then kind of wipe down any excess
For some
fat
reason, even though it's listed
to go, because
separate on each scene,
gets naturally non-stick and
it likes to mute and unmute all of them.
It makes it really easy to clean.
And I try and go
lastly,
between them.
it just makes my
So
life
I
easier.
can't win with the
As we'll see
background
later in this
tracks, I
video,
can't
we use
win.
it for testing a bunch of different steaks. But like I said, I'll use this all the time for a variety of those
What
quick
would I do
cooking
without
meals.
y'all?
So if you want to check out the carbon steel griddle or any of Made In's professional quality cookware for home cooks, head to the link in my description to save on your order. But now let's get back to the beef. And where do we begin? Well, of course, let's look at how it goes from farm to the grocery store, where we have the option to buy it.
All right.
Starting in the 18th century, humans began to selectively breed cattle for meat. Cattle are domesticated descendants of the wild ox, and because they take a few years to mature and are slow-grazing animals,
They're so
they have
adorable.
a dark and relatively flavorful meat compared to pork or poultry. Now, there are 2 big variables that affect the flavor of the fat and muscle fiber in the steaks we have available to buy. First is the breed of the cattle, and secondly, how the breed was raised. And this includes the diet, such as grass versus grain-fed, the age of the cattle at slaughter, its living conditions, and how it was processed. In the United States, the most common beef cattle are Angus and Hereford breeds, which generally mature faster and thus can gain more weight on less feed. However, there are several different varieties and crossbreeds of these cattle that are raised for beef all around the world. So how much difference does the breed make in a steak? Well, it depends. The most extreme example is a 100% pure...
Who did that? Who did that? Who's being troublemaker? Thank you so much for the gifted subs. I hope you're. Thank you so much. Don't you be causing hype trains here. Don't you be doing that. You're gonna make me cry. I don't have my sticking out ass right now. Thank you so much.
Purebred Wagyu cow, which, as we've learned before, will have insanely marbled meat compared to most other breeds. However, even if you had 2 cattle birthed from the same mother but raised them differently, you can end up with 2 different looking steaks, and this is why how the breed was raised is so important. Here's how that process works at a high level. So in the US, as of January 1st, 2024, the herd of cattle and cow inventories was at 87.2 million head of cattle. And of this, 28.2 million are beef cows, 9.36 million are milk cows, and the remaining 49 million or so are other cattle and calves that have not yet been designated for milk or beef or some other variety. American beef comes mostly from steers, which are males that have been castrated as calves, and heifers, which are females that have never given birth. And as noted by UC Davis, the beef cattle industry is not a single entity. Throughout the country, beef cattle are raised under a tremendous variety of different management inputs, environmental settings, and production intensities. Keep in mind as we continue, the business of beef is big business. In 2023, the global beef market size was valued at $526 billion USD,
Yeah,
so a lot of
dang.
decisions that shape how the beef cattle are raised, fed, and processed are made with the economic realities of supply and demand, human consumption preferences, and limited natural resources. And this is why today we have so many steak options available to us with a bunch of different terms at various price points, and why it's harder than ever to be a well-informed
Stop
consumer.
that.
So let's take a
What?
look at some of these
What?
different inputs and piece together
Huh?
the phases of the beef cattle life cycle.
What is this? What is this? Oh, thank you so much, Corona. I will let you know that everything from today's stream will be posted later on YouTube in segments, so even if you can't stick around for all of them, they will be posted. So don't worry if you have to miss parts of it. Make sure you take care of yourself, man. God damn. I'm so close to Craig's.
It starts at birth, where a calf will typically weigh 60 to 100 pounds, where it then moves to the cow-calf phase. The cow-calf phase typically lasts 6 to 12 months, where the calf will grow in size, anywhere from 450 up to 700 pounds, until it is weaned from the mother. And as noted by the USDA, throughout the United States, cow-calf operations are located on land not typically suited or needed for crop production. These operations depend on range and pasture forage conditions, which in turn depend on the area variation of average rainfall and temperature. Beef cows graze on forage from grasslands to maintain themselves, and at this stage raise a calf with very little, if any, grain input. And at weaning, some of the females will be kept in the original herd as breeding cows, and the other heifers and steers will continue on the beef life cycle with the stocker or backgrounder phase.
Interesting.
This phase typically takes that cattle from 6 to 12 months up to 12 to 16 months, and is kind of an intermediate phase where the steers and heifers are not yet big enough to enter the feedlot with the larger feed cattle. During this time, the cattle are grazed on inexpensive feed sources such as grass or hay and other forages, where they will increase their lean muscle and body size. And as noted by the UC Davis paper, stocker operations can be in geographically
Here's the
diverse
season
areas
mistake.
of the U.S., such as
No.
the wheat fields of Oklahoma, grass in Kansas, lush pastures in southern Florida, and corn stalks in Iowa. And once the cattle are big enough in size, they move on to the finishing or fattening phase. During this phase, the cattle are fattened and raised to their market weight of 1,200 to 1,400 pounds. And the purpose here is to increase the body weight and fat in the muscle tissues, which is what we enjoy in our finished steaks.
I do find a lot of this interesting about their life cycle because where I grew up, it was I live on the outskirts of a town, and there was like a lot of like farms and everything outside. So I do find a lot of this interesting about the cows' life cycles because I just always saw a lot of cows when I was younger in varying like stages. So I find it really interesting to just see how this actually works. Because I know some of them were raised for slaughter, some of them are just cows for milking and stuff like that. So I find it really interesting.
Now in this phase is where a lot of the major differences in steaks happen, and I think the one we all want to know about is grain finish versus grass finished beef. Grain finished cattle generally take 3 to 6 months to reach the market weight on the feedlot or the farm they are fattening on, while grass-fed cattle typically take 6 to 10 months to reach their market weight. And this longer time is one of the reasons all of the grass-fed beef I bought for this video was typically the highest price.
Huh.
Up to this point, the cattle have mostly been eating grass-based plant material to meet their nutrient requirements. And beef cattle are ruminants, which have a multi-compartment forestomach that allows indigestible fibers plant material like grass and hay to be digested by the bacteria and protozoa in the stomach. However, as the cattle get larger in size, they require more calories, and this would mean more grass and more land to forage on. Now, this can become difficult because the grass quality and quantity vary throughout the year. For example, in the winter compared to the spring, or a location base such as California versus Texas versus Florida. So grains quickly have become a cost-efficient way to finish beef cattle, and proponents of grain finishing cattle would say it leads to a more consistent fat and muscle profile in the steaks, and it helps being able to keep up with consumer demands. Now, it's very important to know that when it comes to the diet, this is not an all or nothing. There can be kind of a hybrid here. The lowest cost steak at the grocery store likely did come from cattle that was finished on a centralized animal feed operation with thousands of animals. But you can also buy certified humane pasture-raised beef, which have a very high set of living standards that I'll link below. This steak is not 100% grass-fed though, meaning it was finished with some type of high-quality grain. Now, outside of the diet, there are several more differences that can happen here in this phase. This includes the feedlot size. Some farms may only have 20 animals, some may have 100, some may have 1,000, or potentially up to 100,000. And feedlots with over 1,000 animals are referred to as centralized animal feed operations, or CAFOs, where the goal is to produce more beef with less land.
That is so many cows. I was gonna keep them, but I already know that'd be really, really expensive. I just want to run. I just want to pet them and all that. Like, they're so adorable.
But this also leads to downsides in the living condition. Cattle get sick more often on CAFOs, and because of this, antibiotics are typically used. After the cattle are fattened to the market weight, the final step is slaughter. And this is a reality that all of us meat eaters should acknowledge. The beef cattle are broken down in packing facilities, and this is where in the US, the carcasses can optionally be graded by the USDA. The grading of beef is voluntary, and a plant must actually pay for the service. And I point this out because a small local farm could have amazing fatty marbled beef, but just choose not to get it graded by the USDA.
That makes sense.
So like I mentioned earlier, there are tons of different inputs into this beef cattle life cycle. In some cases, like Polyface Farm, they own the entire process from start to finish. However, in other cases, each of these phases could be a separate business. For example, the cow-calf phase could happen at one farm, the cattle is then sent to a separate stocking operation in another area, which then gets sent to a feedlot to fatten, and then is finally sent to a packing plant to be processed. And this is what leads to all these different tasting steaks at various price points all around us at the grocery store. So, which one should you buy? Well, now that we have the lay of the land, we need to answer those questions I posed at the beginning of the video, and you'll ultimately need to figure out what's most important to you. And I want to start with the flavor of steaks and get into some testing, because many people claim that grass-fed beef will taste better than grain-finished beef or vice versa.
I wouldn't know.
Now, is that actually true? Well, it's kind of the wrong question to ask. Let's break it down. When choosing a steak, there are three main variables that will influence the flavor we perceive in a cut from different beef cattle. And variable number one is total fat content. Now, the total fat content includes the intermuscular fat, which is the large white chunks between muscle groups, and the intramuscular fat, which is the small white fat between the muscle fibers, which is what we refer to as marbling. For example, here are 4 ribeye steaks with different mixes of intra and intermuscular fat.
Like, if I had to pick without like seeing like any like of the pricing or anything like that, I wouldn't know what even I'm looking at. Like, I am a steak novice. Like, I don't know anything about steak. Like, when it comes to like making it, like I can make steak, but like it's a very limited endeavor for me. Whenever I make steak, it's very, very rare. So, curious, how's everybody here like their steak? How's everyone like it? Like, I know for me, I'd go between medium and medium rare. But I can't, I don't like well done. How do you guys like your steaks? Tell me.
And this is a key area that you should pay attention to when choosing a steak at the butcher counter, because the cuts will be slightly different depending on how far up or down the animal they were cut. The middle 2 steaks, for example, have a bigger piece of intermuscular fat kind of running through the middle that may make the slices of this particular ribeye steak more or less appealing depending on if you like those pieces of steak in there. And the total amount of fat is one of the key differences in most beef grading systems around the world. In the US, it's select, choice, and prime beef. In Japan, they use the beef marbling standard, which goes up to 12 points to help classify A1 to A5 Wagyu. In Australia, on the other hand, they use the MSA, or Meat Standards Australia, which goes up to 9 points. Now, my question is, how big of a difference does the total amount of fat make?
So I've got our batch of gray meat waiting to be seared, and I've got a couple of tests that I think are going to be interesting. I've never tasted steak side by side like this before, so let's section these up and do a number of different things. And the one that I want to start with is kind of to go on opposite ends of the spectrum. So let's start with the USDA Choice, which was the lowest cost of these steaks, and compare that to the Prime pasture-raised one, which I believe was the most expensive. So one observation I did have while cooking these was that the Prime beef definitely seared much nicer. Again, it's similar to like ground beef. Like you think 80-20 ground beef generally sears much better in a burger compared to like a 90-10 or 93-7, which is a little bit leaner. But let's slice these up blindfold and see how much of a difference there actually is in terms of flavor.
I think we needed to prep the meat is more important than the actual cut, because brisket used to be a poor man's cut, now it used to be stupid expensive for some reason. I mean, I think that's anything though, really, because prepping makes a difference for a lot of dishes, not just like brisket, but like steak, chicken, pastas. Like the prep work is everything. Because even like a not so great, considered good, can't see the air quotes here, cut of meat, if it's not like done like seasoned and everything, like it still may be different, better, it still may be better than this really expensive cut because it has more of a taste to it. I like semi-heretic, I like steak well done, I don't want any blood in it, and you know what, that's fair too. Like that, my sister's like that. It's alright, we all like our food different, nothing wrong with that.
Flavor. Let's blindfold up and give these a taste. Pretty good steak. Again, really good. Those tasted very similar, if not identical. I felt a little... I think this one's pretty easy. These two are the same. I'm assuming they're the Prime ones. This is the USDA Choice. But let's see. Yep. So this was very easy to tell, mainly because of the texture. Like right away, I was like, the texture on these is different.
All right.
You can see this really has much looser meat fibers, again, because it likely has a lot more intermuscular fat in between all these little muscle fibers. Whereas with this, it's, you know, thicker muscle fibers. It's a little bit denser, chewier. As terms of flavor go, though, not as much difference as I would have thought. I definitely preferred the flavor of this, but that could have been due to it like browning up a little bit better. And then this is juicier, obviously.
Outside factors.
So especially when it comes to overcooking beef, like a Prime steak is going to be much more forgiving than a Choice steak, which has much less intermuscular fat. Very, very interesting test, and really cool to actually do this side by side.
I don't really know when it comes to seafood because I had a very, 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 very severe allergy to seafood for the longest time. Even then, I still don't really touch it. So I really wouldn't know. So I'll just have to take your word on about like prepping seafood. I'll just have to take your word on it.
But I think next what I want to do is take two of the grass-fed steaks and do them side by side. So let's do just that.
Okay, so the total fat content of a steak is just one variable we need to pay attention to when choosing a steak based on the flavor. But what happens if two steaks did have the exact same amount of total fat, but one of them was 100% grass-fed and the other was grain-finished? And this brings us to variable number 2 that can affect the flavor of beef, which is the unique chemical composition of the muscle fiber and fat. Sounds complicated, but we're going to simplify it. Fat is the major contributor of flavor development in different types of meat. For example, it's primarily the chicken fat that makes chicken smell like chicken, the pork fat that makes pork smell like pork, and the beef fat that makes beef smell like beef.
Yeah,
and
makes
the idea
sense.
here is that the diet of the cattle will lead to slight differences in the chemical compounds that exist in the fat and muscle fibers. For example, here's an observation from the study on the ruminant meat flavor. The ruminants that are finished on grains tend to have a lower concentration of linoleic acid as compared to the ruminants finished on grass because of the effects of the intermuscular fat of the meat. And this variation in the composition of fatty acids also affects the meat flavor. And when we say flavor here, we're really asking, does grass-fed fat and muscle fibers have a different aroma when it's cooked? And if you remember from the Steak Fundamentals video, a sous vide steak has very little taste and very little aroma. We need to add salt to season a steak properly, and secondly, we need the Maillard reaction to occur on the exterior to create the umami compounds. And additionally, it is in fact the Maillard reaction that happens with those amino acids that generates most of the aromas we identify as beefy flavor. So to begin to test this variable, I realized we needed to do two different tests. Instead of jumping straight to a grain finish versus a grass finished steak, it's basically impossible to control for the first variable of total fat content. So to try and control for that, I decided to do a ground beef test where the fat content is exactly the same at 80-20. But one is from grain finished beef and one is from grass finished. And then in the second test, we'll look at steaks with a similar total fat content.
Okay, I've got 4 bowls, 2 marked jeans, 2 marked unmarked, which are just the regular chuck. Let's do a little quick triangle test and see if I can actually pick out which one is which here. One, two, three. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I think I've got it, and I think this was a little easier than I thought it was going to be. I think 1 and 3 are the chuck, and then 2 is the grass-fed, and then the other grass-fed is the one I left off. Let's give it a look. So, yep, chuck, grass-fed, chuck, grass-fed. That's really interesting. So I'm pretty surprised at how easily I was able to pick these out between the grass-fed and kind of that standard chuck roast, which is just like the basic option you'll typically have at the grocery store. But before you go off and just buy the most expensive ground beef, I do want to point out a couple of caveats.
Now, we need to do a whole separate video on ground beef because there's like 5 or 6 different tests that I want to do, such as fresh ground versus vacuum packed, brisket versus chuck, or looking at leaner beef varieties and venison or bison. But in this first test, I was able to pick up on some differences in flavor, aroma, and texture. But how will that fare in the steak test? Let's see. Okay, so I've got 2 New York strips. One is grass-fed, one is grain-finished. Both are prime, but still slightly different in the total fat content. Let's
I do like a New York strip.
What we taste. Oh, lost one, I think. All right, well, we'll just take that one. Texturally, these two were different for sure. This one was much closer than the prior ribeye test. I think these 1 and 3 are the same and 2 is different. As far as flavor goes, fairly similar, maybe some slight differences, but let's see. Okay, so yeah, this was the prime grain-fed. This, yeah, yeah, you can feel the same. So really, again, it's the texture that I'm picking up on the differences. As far as kind of beefy flavor aroma, I don't think you can make any kind of general conclusions that grass-fed is always going to taste one way or grain-fed is always going to taste one way. You really need to kind of go by a steak and cattle by cattle basis because there's going to be some variability and seasonality.
Yeah, that does
make
a lot of sense.
Here are 2 100% grass-fed New York strips, and just based on the visual.
Man, these do look different. They do look very different. Like, holy tech.
Total fat content, it's obvious these are going to have a different texture and flavor. Now, if you could somehow make two absolutely identical steaks down to the fat and muscle fiber content, but one was grass-fed and one was grain-finished, the diet would likely have an impact on the flavor.
Right.
But again, both of them are probably going to taste really good anyway. Remember, in these tests, I'm not even using butter or garlic and rosemary or any of the other ways you can add aroma to steak. So as soon as you do that, it will likely be harder to tell. Lastly, I do want to take a quick look at variable number 3 that you should be aware of.
Which
and
is
that
what?
is the size and tenderness of the muscle fiber. In the chicken breast video, one of the big differences between lower and higher cost chicken breasts was the size of those individual muscle fibers. And every different cut from the same cow is going to have a different size and shape of muscle fiber. Obviously, we all know that a filet mignon has tiny muscle fibers compared to a skirt steak, which has these nice big bands. And in one more test, I did a prime ribeye versus a grass-fed ribeye, and I really liked the grass-fed ribeye more just because it was sliced different.
And I think this might be my favorite steak from all the tests I've done.
I guess
so
it
far.
would make sense
But let me
that
explain
how
because that's a
it's
little
cut
bit
also
misleading.
does matter.
Texture-wise, though, I really like this ribeye. So this might be a hot take of mine. I don't know. But I like thinner cut steaks like this because you get more brown surface area to the interior of the meat compared to, we're getting extra browning in there, right? So this would be like eating two pieces like this where we have brown, 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 brown. So we're getting like 4 times the amount of browning for the same amount.
these look
And I
like
think
pepperoni
this
powder cooked
is
in
what makes steak
avocados,
good. So
freaking
like,
Parmesan
I actually am not
cheese.
really a big fan of
Okay,
baked
you're
steaks. That's
doing
something
too
I'm
much.
realizing
You're
these
doing
days.
too much.
And that makes a lot of sense because I've never been a big fan of prime beef. I've never been a big fan of tomahawk steaks because I feel like you're just kind of eating a lot of the inside of the beef where most of the flavor is on the exterior browning. So that's a very interesting conclusion from this test. And I think, yeah, this is my favorite so far. But again, I think it's because it's how it cut and how it's cooked. I don't think that it's because it happens to be grass-fed or not.
So in conclusion, this is why a question like, is grain-fed beef better tasting than grass-fed beef, is just not the right question to ask. Sometimes it may be true, but other times it may not be true, and this is why you need to pay attention to those 3 variables on a steak-by-steak basis. I would argue the total fat content is going to make the biggest difference here. So if you were at the butcher counter, this is the variable that I would pay the most attention to. And in general, the same cut of steak with a higher total fat content will likely lead to more even Maillard reaction on the surface. It'll be more forgiving when you're actually cooking it and have a slightly stronger beef aroma. And as always, I would highly recommend you trying out one of these tests to do at home. It's honestly just a lot of fun, and I always learn something every time I do one. Now, the texture, aroma, taste, physical, and sight of a steak is just one piece of the puzzle. And when it comes to figuring out what steak you should buy at the store, a lot of that comes down to the human element. And this is a reminder that we experience food not just with our physical senses, but things like feelings, cultural associations, economics, and the nutrition.
Yeah.
Another common reason why many people say that you should go for more expensive beef, such as grass-fed and pasture-raised varieties, is that these steaks are actually healthier for you. But what does that actually mean? Let's break it down. Before we begin, you need to answer this question for yourself. How often do you eat beef?
Not often. I don't think I do a lot. I mostly eat chicken. Sometimes beef, but generally only like if I'm like making something like a burger or something, but generally, no.
This is a question that is often completely disregarded in video clips or articles that claim certain beef varieties are healthier for you, when the simple fact is you can be a healthy, functioning human who eats absolutely no beef, eats a little beef, eats some beef, or eats a lot of beef. And if you want to understand the fundamentals of healthy eating, I have a section of this video where I've broken it down and will link that below. Understanding these fundamentals has completely changed my life, so it's something I'm passionate about sharing.
Yeah, so I don't usually, like, if we're talking like steak specifically, that's maybe a once, 2 times a year at best. It's very uncommon. As opposed to people who would smoke it for 2 days and marinate it for 3 and then cook it for 20 minutes because you're afraid to overcook it even 1 millisecond, and then you compare it to a light bulb. Not the light bulb comparisons. Not the light bulbs. But yeah, like, steak is a very, very rare occurrence for me. And even then, I'm more inclined because I don't cook a lot when it comes to, like, steak. Because I've only probably made steak maybe 2 or 3 times in my lifetime. And I just feel a lot better just going somewhere, ordering it, and having it, rather than me buying this expensive chunk of meat and then just somehow just fucking it up. Which, knowing me, I would probably do. Like, I don't know anything about making steak. Like, if I was making a steak, it'd be a case where, okay, opens Google, looks up how to cook a steak in general, and then it's like, okay, maybe I can do this, and I'll be panicking the entire time. Like, I've only had to actually make steak once because I had them picked up the wrong cut in my grocery order, and it was it was not a fun time. It was not a fun time at all for me. I made it well. It was decent, but like not experience I really ever want to repeat again on a whim.
Now, once you understand the fundamentals and have answered how often do you eat steak and other beef products, we need to know this. There are macro and micronutrient differences between all of these different steaks. The most obvious example of macronutrient differences are between the Select, Choice, and Prime steaks. On a 100-gram portion, the Select will have the lowest amount of fat, the highest amount of protein, and the lowest amount of calories. The Choice steak will be somewhere in the middle, and the Prime steak will have the highest amount of fat and highest calories, or all the way on the extreme end, A5 Wagyu has a ton of calories and fat in it. So what about the micronutrient level? There are typically a few health claims that come up when discussing grass-fed and pasture-raised beef. So first, let me give you the claims, and then I'll give you some context for each. Claim number 1, more expensive beef has higher omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid than lower-cost grain varieties. Claim 2, they have higher levels of certain vitamins such as vitamin A
I wouldn't
and
know.
E. And claim 3, they never use pesticides or antibiotics, which could show up in the meat. Now that we have the claims, here's the context. So as evidenced by the study on the fatty acid composition of grain and grass-fed beef, the fatty acid composition of steaks are different from grain and grass-fed, and in general, grass-fed beef does tend to have higher omega-3 amounts than grain-fed beef.
Let's take a moment here to just look at this chart. Oh, thank you for the follow, Chris. Hope you're doing well today. Fancy seeing you here.
However, omega-3 deficiency is very rare in the United States, and beef, regardless of if it is grain or grass-fed, is a food that is generally low in omega-3 fatty acids. Food high in omega-3 and 6 fatty acids include fish and other seafoods, along with nuts and seeds. And the context here is similar when it comes to the vitamins. Grass-fed beef does tend to have higher vitamin A and E than grain-fed, but again, vitamin A and E deficiencies are rare in the West. Foods high in vitamin A include leafy greens, vegetables, tomatoes, bell pepper, cantaloupe, specifically beef liver, not steak, fish oil.
Hey, welcome in, Hollis. Thank you so much for the raid. How you doing? How are the games? How are they all going? Love to hear about them. Still on that giant winning streak? Oh, yeah, ow, I just bit my tongue. For anyone here who came in with the raid and does not know me, I am Scarlet Ami, although please just call me Ami. But I play a variety of games. I do watch videos on Mondays, stream, and then a lot of game streams after 1 o'clock Eastern in the morning. And just do a lot of variety stuff. Tried to raid too, but it didn't work. That might be a security setting I have, honestly. But, you know. Because I do have a lot of channel security settings active. Just for bot protections and all that good stuff. So, there is that. But I do appreciate the raids, and I hope you all games are going well. It's just Twitch being twitchy. That's all it is. Twitch is Twitch. Frosty does have a cooldown on that though when it comes through, so. But I do appreciate the raids from y'all. I appreciate it a lot. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all coming on by. I just lost my tab. Where? No, not that tab. One of these days, I am going to get myself another monitor to keep track of this. One day, but that day is not today. Hey, welcome in, staff. Hope you're doing well. Hey. It wouldn't be a VTuber stream if I wasn't having stuff in any capacity. It's just the law. It's the rules of the land. That's how it works. If I am not having a scuff stream, the world is ending in somewhere, in some capacity. I don't know where. I don't know why. It's just the laws. It's just how it works. And if not, well, it's probably just being delayed. There it is. There's my tab. But yeah, you guys stumbled on in here while we've been watching a video about steak. Yeah, appreciate y'all. Hope y'all enjoy your stay here in their lift.
Oil, milk, and eggs. Foods high in vitamin E include avocados, mangoes, asparagus, bell peppers, peanuts and peanut butter, beet greens, almonds, sunflower seeds, and oil. Lastly, as we learned, typically large stocker or feedlot operations may use antibiotics to treat and prevent the spread of disease in cattle. And I'll leave a link to this article from the USDA, but in summary, there are two main concerns. First, the residues of antibiotics may be in the meat, which could cause allergic reactions and digestive problems in humans that eat them. Now, because of this, the FDA has established minimal intervals between the last dosage and the time of slaughter to prevent these residues from happening, and the penalties are steep if they are found. The second concern is that using antibiotics with cattle could promote the development of drug-resistant bacteria. Now, this is a point of controversy in our entire medication system, not something we're really going to get into on this channel.
Makes sense.
But as you can see, this is why you need to first ask yourself, how much beef and steak do you realistically eat? Obviously, seek out a medical professional if you are worried about a specific deficiency. But even if you're having, say, 1 steak a week, which I would say is very high for most people, the other 20 or so meals you eat in that week are going to largely outweigh that decision of having a single steak. And if you are ever looking for high protein meals that are easy to make with a variety of ingredients, we have a ton of these recipes with the macros on my website, Cookwell, where we've also started this second channel and really just want to show the entire transparent process from start to finish. This is an area that I am really passionate about sharing. So when it comes to talking about, like, are certain steaks more healthier than others, it depends totally on you. So we've answered, how does beef go from farm to table? Secondly, does more expensive beef taste different? Third, are certain cuts of steak actually healthier for you? So lastly, let's get into this. Is more expensive beef humane and environmentally friendly? There have been several great videos documenting the breakdown of the greenhouse gases by economic sector, where, according to the EPA, the agriculture, forestry, and other land use sector makes up about 22% of global emissions. And when you dig down further to focus specifically on beef cattle, they have the highest impact on the environment of any food we eat for several reasons. First, as we've learned, beef require a lot of feed to reach market weight. Secondly, they require a lot of land, leading to deforestation. And lastly, their natural enteric fermentation process actually produces methane through belching. And from the EPA, methane makes up about 11% of the net greenhouse emissions, which, while lower than carbon dioxide, according to this article from UC Davis, methane has been shown to have a more potent effect on the climate initially, and then most of that effect is gone after 20 years. And I think the question that we all grapple with is, how much of a difference am I really making at an individual level? And this is where I get frustrated too, because the more you look into it, there's studies, articles, and videos on all sides, and it's a very complex issue on a global scale food system. And if you want to think about it more philosophically, it's so hard to quantify if we're making decisions for the good of the next 10, 50, 100, or 1,000 years. It would be so convenient for us to have globally available beef that tastes really good, has the lowest cost, treats the cattle well, and is also great for the environment. But there are always constraints in the real world. There's more information being gathered and new solutions being developed. And generally the proposed solutions include 1, we should just stop eating beef altogether. 2, we should create and eat more beef substitutes, which is why a lot of plant-based meats are being done. Or 3rd, we should eat beef only from cattle that was regenerative. And this includes farming cattle like Polyface Farm is doing, or new ideas such as using seaweed in the diet with the cows to reduce that methane load. Now, I'm in no way an expert on any of this stuff, and I don't think we're going to solve all the world's problems in a single YouTube video like this, but I do want to at least continue the discussion. I don't make these videos with the intent of telling you specifically what to buy or how you should feel about certain things. I try to approach them with the nuance that I would want to have if I was having these conversations with a friend, family member, colleague, or one of you out in the wild. So because of that, I'm going to leave a bunch of additional reading links down below, and I would also suggest to you to have some discussion down in the comments. And again, I'd ask yourself, how much beef do you and your family consume over the year? If it's quite a lot and you have the access, maybe it is worth looking into purchasing a half or quarter cow that was grass-fed and raised directly from your local farmer, rather than waiting for it to be raised on multiple farms throughout that beef cattle life cycle before ultimately being shipped and packed around the world. I think it is important to understand the basics of where our food comes from, the differences from a flavor and food science perspective, but also the human element where we will make a lot of choices with things that have nothing to do with how the food tastes, smells, or looks, but instead has everything to do with our feelings, economic realities, cultural differences, and outside perspective. And lastly, I do want to wrap this video up with a couple of the key takeaways. So in conclusion, if you're buying purely from a flavor perspective, I'd look at the total inner and intramuscular fat of the steak, and this is likely going to make the biggest difference in the texture and aroma. There is great tasting grass-fed beef and great tasting grain-finished beef, and vice versa. And I would highly recommend getting the same cut with slight differences and trying it for yourself. Secondly, is more expensive beef healthier for you? While there are going to be macro and micronutrient differences between various steaks, the totality of the rest of your diet is likely going to make a much bigger difference. Third, is more expensive beef humane and environmentally friendly? And as we learned, it's complicated. From a humane perspective, if you want beef with the highest standards of living, look for the certified humane stamp, or again, talk to your local farmer. These certifications cost money, so they may not be getting those certifications, but could be treating the animals very well depending on your preferences. From an environmental perspective, it's tough to say. For example, a centralized animal feed operation produces more beef on less land to keep up with demands, but it's going to have worse living conditions for the cattle. So some may argue the solution is to eat more regenerative beef. The other solution could just be eating less beef overall. Now, I'm not the food police here. I make these videos to inform myself and learn alongside of all of you. And we all have these unique human constraints when it comes to buying, purchasing, and cooking food. For example, I may be happy to spend that $30 on a grass-fed ribeye that I really enjoyed today, but if my college-age self was watching this, I guarantee you I'm spending that money on something else. Whether you buy groceries for yourself, you and your spouse, or a family of 6, I think understanding the food that we buy at a macro and micro scale is an important part of deciding how we feed ourselves every day. Lastly, I have a couple of carve outs. First, that griddle really does just live on my stove at all times. We've been using it a ton on the second channel, which I would love for you to check out. So on that channel, those videos are filmed in kind of a live, laid-back format. And generally, these are going to be quicker, easy recipes that you can make on a weeknight. Or we've been doing some companion videos. So for example, I did an onion versus a shallot Oklahoma fried onion burger as kind of a follow-up to that onion deep dive. Third, if you want to check out our weekly newsletter, it comes out every Sunday morning. Keith on my team writes it, and it's one of my favorite things to review at the end of the week before we send it off to you guys. So I'll leave the link down for that below. And lastly, let me know what deep dives you want to see for the rest of the summer and into the fall. And
oh, that was an interesting one. Definitely one of the more interesting videos. Though beef was, I never, there was a lot of thinking, and I don't even eat a lot of beef anyway, so what do I know? Alrighty. But yeah, I'm very much more of a chicken or very much a chicken or pork person. I don't really eat beef very often. I think the closest I generally have beef is like if I'm deciding I'm gonna have a burger or something like that. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Since we're coming out of food, everyone here knows what Waffle House is, yes? If you don't, you're gonna need some context if we're talking about Waffle House, and we're gonna be talking about Waffle House. And I don't normally do reacts to videos that were like recently came out, but I saw this video, it came up on my feed. I have to do it even though I'll probably delay the YouTube video release for it. But everyone knows what Waffle House is. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. The only store that has its own laws is you're only a free for all as soon as you walk in. So, turns out, our friend at the Fat Files made a video about Waffle House, or as he likes to call it, the Coliseum of the South. And like I said, I don't usually do video reacts to videos that recently came out, so I'm going to be delaying the YouTube release for this one specifically. But I saw this video and it's like, I have to. I have to do this. We don't have Waffle Houses up here, but I was in Virginia and I've been to a few. So we're going to go into Waffle House. We all know Waffle House. We all do.
Yeah, I actually debated on which channel I was going to upload this video on, because on one hand, we're going over a business and the business model that it has, but on the other hand, this restaurant is basically the Roman Coliseum of the South, and I'm pretty sure if you eat there enough, you actually get a deployment patch from the US military. Regardless, I wore my schnazziest tank top for the occasion. Today we're talking about Waffle House. Okay, just to be completely clear with everybody, I was pretty sure I was not going to get caught off guard because Waffle House is already absolutely crazy. I started looking into it and then found out that Waffle House is somehow connected to the Manhattan Project from World War II. So they managed to actually surprise me, and we're going to get to it right after a word from our sponsor. Yeah, babe, what's up?
Hey, I need a boombox.
Okay, I can go get you one.
Perfect.
All right, I'll go get it now. Love you.
Love you.
All right, bye.
1 hour later.
Where's that boombox that I asked for?
Oh, it's right here. I got it for you.
What is this?
The boombox.
Oh my
No,
god.
I wanted something to play
This is a
music
delete me ad.
Oh, that kind of boombox. Yeah, I got this instead.
Okay, we'll go to the store and get me a boombox so I can listen to music.
Can I keep this one still?
I don't care.
This video is brought to you by Delete Me, okay? Super
How did
simple
I
business
know?
model. You give them money, they turn around and they make sure that online data brokers are going to sell your personal information online. Okay, here's the deal. Pretty much anytime you use a
Okay,
free
we
service on
see
the
a lot
internet,
of
you
these
click that little box that says,
sponsors.
I
We're
agree to the
just
terms and
gonna-
conditions. You've basically just agreed to allow them to harvest as much of your personal information as humanly possible. They then turn around and sell that to online data brokers, and that's how they can afford to offer you a free service. But when you have Delete Me, they go and they monitor all of these gentlemen by the name of Tom Fortner.
Wait,
This man, get back to the video. All right, Waffle House. Our story begins with a gentleman by the name of Tom Forkner. This man graduated from law school at 23 years old, passed the bar, and immediately gets drafted in 1940 in the days leading up to World War II. Because he graduated from college, he's presented with two different options.
All
He
right.
can A, go straight into officer training, and that's a 3-year commitment, or he can just be a normal draftee and go in as an enlisted soldier, and that is a 1-year commitment. Now you gotta remember, at this point in time, like 1940, while World War II is currently going on, America's not involved yet. The attack on Pearl Harbor has not happened, and prior to the attack on Pearl Harbor, the American people did not want to go to war. Because
Right.
of that, Tom Forkner figures, hey, we're not actually going off to war. I don't want to waste 3 years of my time just being in the military, not actually, fighting a war or whatever. So he chooses to be a draftee. Goes into the military as an enlisted soldier, E1 private. From there, goes off to basic training. As soon as he gets through basic training, the attack on Pearl Harbor ends up happening. America enters the war. He immediately opts to go into OCS training and commits for 3 years. After he completes the officer training course, he actually gets slotted to be a counterintelligence officer, where he does, and I quote, a lot of top secret stuff.
You see, my identity must remain mysterious and my mission secret. I cannot reveal it to you.
You can actually tell in the interviews that he gave later on in his life, like in his 70s, 80s, and 90s, that he's still not sure what he is and what he isn't allowed to talk about. But he did end up telling us that basically it was his job to try to sneak onto military bases, not as military personnel. So he would basically disguise himself as like a painter or a carpenter or whatever, and try to infiltrate a U.S. military base to expose weaknesses within the system to help counteract enemy spies. So he does that for a couple of years, and then one day he ends up getting orders like, hey, you're going to Knoxville, Tennessee. And he's like, okay, for what? And they're like, don't fucking worry about it, just show up. So he shows up in Tennessee and he's given his orders, and those orders, I'm paraphrasing here, but they're essentially, hey, here's your partner, you two are gonna hop in that truck and you are gonna drive it from Knoxville, Tennessee to Los Alamos, New Mexico. You guys are gonna dress in plain clothes, you're not gonna look at what's inside the truck, you're not gonna talk about what's inside the truck, you're gonna take this map and take that exact route. This route avoids every major city.
Oh, this sounds so freaking shady. This just sounds so shady so far. Like, what the heck?
And every major highway. You were going to drive straight there 53 hours straight, taking turns sleeping in the passenger seat and not stopping for any reason whatsoever. And he does this for the next year and a half, pretty much non-stop. And then like 20, 30 years after the fact, he finds out that he was actually hauling the majority of the enriched uranium for all of the nuclear testing and the building of nuclear weapons. Which, as we all know, brings about the end of World War II, at which point he gets out of the military, moves back home to Atlanta, Georgia.
But what does this have to do with Waffle House?
Now he does that for about 10 years, and during this time he ends up selling the house right next door to his to another guy by the name of Joe Rogers, and they pretty much become best friends. Joe Rogers was also an Army veteran. He was actually a pilot that flew B-24s in World War II. When Joe got back home after the war, he did not want to go off to college, so he actually just took the first job that he was offered, being a short order cook at a now defunct restaurant chain known as Toddle House. He worked his way up, becoming a restaurant manager, then eventually becoming a regional manager. And then one day his neighbor and best friend, Tom Forkner, real estate agent, always looking for the next investment, comes to him and is like, hey, I'm thinking about opening up my own restaurant. I can get the real estate deal going on that side. I just wanted to know, like, if I opened up and bought a franchise of Toddle House, would you be willing to run
It's
it?
Waffle House
Now, at
starts
this
to
point, it's
start
like
well, but end
1954,
well.
1955. Joe
Fair.
Rogers has a ton of experience inside the restaurant industry, and he basically tells his best friend, like, hey, don't open a Toddle House. You should start your own thing. Toddle House's business model isn't that great. If you start your own restaurant, I will help you run it. He then goes off on vacation with his family, and by the time he comes back, Tom Forkner has already bought the real estate and comes to Rogers and is like, cool, what's the business we're starting?
Where's Pancake's house? What? We stop at Pancake's house.
And within the span of like 6 months, the very first of what is now the legendary restaurant chain of Waffle House opens. And Waffle House is legendary, probably for all the wrong reasons. I mean, even if you've never been to a Waffle House, you've heard about Waffle House because, well, I mean, Kid Rock got in a fight there. You've got Haley Booth, the viral Waffle House cook known as the Last Chairbender.
Oh my god.
There's entire subreddits and YouTube
Hold
channels.
on. We're just gonna rewatch that chair flying because that was beautiful.
Got Haley Booth, the viral Waffle House cook known as the last chairbender. There's entire subreddits and YouTube channels almost exclusively dedicated to all the fights that break out at Waffle House. I remember the first time I went to a Waffle House, I stretched first, I grabbed a GoPro, I was ready to yell World Star, Nothing exciting happened. I just had delicious breakfast at like 3 o'clock in the morning, which is probably 99% of people's experiences because despite all of the negative PR, Waffle House makes a ton of money and has an incredible business model. Okay, Waffle House had about $1.4 billion in revenue last year, which is about $650,000 per location. And when you take into consideration that each Waffle House is absolutely tiny, that's really impressive. Out of their 2,100 tiny Waffle House locations, their yearly stats are 58 million cups of coffee, 124 million waffles, 153 million servings of hash browns, 272 million eggs, which is about 2% of all the eggs consumed in the United States of America, and 85 million strips of bacon. Yes, I did the math. That is about 8,000 miles worth of bacon.
I worry what you just heard was, give me a lot of bacon and eggs. What I said was, give me all the bacon and eggs you have.
So Waffle House is obviously doing something right. What exactly are they doing? Well, it all comes down to their business model and their branding. Now, with the Waffle House branding, all the negative PR about fights always breaking out at Waffle House, in a way, has actually helped them out a ton. Because Waffle House, by and large, is pretty much a regional chain. It's primarily down in the South. Yet, Waffle House has become a household name pretty much everywhere in America. You could have never even seen a Waffle House, and you already know Waffle House is open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, and they serve breakfast. Why do you know they serve breakfast? Because their name is fucking Waffle House. I mean, look at this sign.
Yeah.
You're driving down the road, you see that, you know everything you need to know. They sell breakfast. The end. Do that with another breakfast place. If you're not from there and you don't know what a Denny's or a Perkins or an IHOP is, you have no idea. It's just a restaurant, maybe. What?
So true. So freaking true. Because where I grew up, we did not have... We had Denny's for a little bit, but we did not have a IHOP or anything, and I didn't even know what IHOP was until I went to Virginia and found out when I was talking with myself what the heck IHOP actually was. So yeah, I can totally agree with that.
Waffle House, they're selling waffles, which means there's like a 99% chance they sell other breakfast food. Fucking sold, I'm in. So already, the branding is absolutely incredible, but here's the true genius of it. Why did they call it Waffle House? Why didn't they call it Breakfast House or Bacon House or
Doesn't sound as
Hash Brown
good.
House? It's because waffles had the highest profit margin. I cannot stress to you enough how absolutely genius that is, right? Because you don't need to sell breakfast, all right? Everybody's already in on breakfast, okay? I could be blackout drunk at 4 in the morning.
We all
and
love
you can ask
breakfast
me,
food.
hey, do you want breakfast? I'm coming up like the Undertaker every single time. And then you go, the only thing open right now is Waffle House, okay? I was already sold on breakfast from the get-go, but because Waffle House is where we're going, guess what I'm getting? A motherfucking waffle, and they're making more money. It makes sense that Tom Faulkner was a counterintelligence officer because the man literally said 2 words and has already subconsciously tricked you into ordering the most expensive thing on the menu that makes him the most money. So the branding of Waffle House is both simple and brilliant, and the rest of the business model matches that to a T. Okay, all Waffle Houses are like virtually identical. They're very small. They only seat like 30 people, and you can actually see the cook making you your food. Now, at a glance, you're just like, oh, they're just going for that like 1950s drive-through type of a vibe, which they are, but there's way more to it than that. Because the restaurant is so small, the kitchen never has the opportunity to get bogged down, meaning that they're moving tables very, very quickly. So instead of having one kitchen and 100 customers, you've got one kitchen and 30 customers, and you can just turn those tables over 3 times faster, which pretty much guarantees that every customer is going to get exactly what they wanted, okay? They're not going in there for 5-star dining. They're going in there because they're hungry and they want breakfast, and now they're going to get breakfast really quick in a small setting that doesn't feel like a packed restaurant where they have to wait in line to be seated. And I know what you're thinking. What if one Waffle House just reaches its maximum capacity, right? What if it's just
There's a restaurant called the Purple Cow. It beats all restaurants ever in the state. I have never heard of the Purple Cow. Now I'm curious.
completely full with a line out the door 24/7 every day of the year. Waffle House surely would build a bigger Waffle House, right? No, we're gonna take the same parking lot and right next to that first Waffle House, we're gonna build a second fucking Waffle House, okay? The plan is working, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. Which is one of those things that seems dumb, but is actually brilliant. So obviously speed is key to this business model, and they've done themselves a big favor with their menu because their menu is overwhelmingly simple, okay? It's literally one side of one piece of paper. Okay, the entire menu is comprised of like 10 things. They have waffles, sausage, bacon, ham, eggs, toast, biscuits, gravy, butter, and syrup. Guess how many flavors of syrup they have? One. It's fucking syrup flavored syrup. The entire menu is simple, exactly how it's supposed to be. Oh, sorry, they have hash browns too. Sorry, 11 things, not 10. Anyways, moving on. Another reason they do so good is they actually might be the best fast food chain when it comes to taking care of their employees. They pay them higher than average, they have super flexible schedules, and they're one of, if not the only fast food chain that actually offers all their employees healthcare and dental insurance. Okay, and I know what you're thinking. You're like, okay, but really, how good are they actually treating the Waffle House employees? I got the one stat that's everything you need to know, okay? Waffle House treats their employees so well that employees are willing to commute into a natural disaster to work at a different Waffle House when the occasion arises. Yeah, Waffle House is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and they fucking mean it, okay?
Yes, because we have the Waffle House index on how bad a hurricane is, depending on whether or not Waffle House is open or closed. And if it's closed, you better hunker down.
Whenever there's like a hurricane coming or some type of impending natural disaster, Waffle House organizes what they call a jump team, a bunch of Waffle House employees from a different region that's going to be unaffected because they know that their local employees are going to be busy taking care of their own family and their own houses during a hurricane. So they bring in teams from outside the region to work inside of a natural fucking disaster, and they're willing to do it.
I never said thank you.
Oh my god, this editing.
You'll never have to.
Okay, McDonald's can barely get their employees to show up on a good day, and Waffle House has employees volunteering to commute into a fucking hurricane to make breakfast. And this is the most impressive part of the business because Waffle House has the best logistics and preparedness of any company I've ever seen ever. The only entity that beats them in logistical capacity is the United States military. Waffle House is literally ready for absolutely anything. Every single Waffle House has the playbook inside of it that details exactly how the staff is supposed to handle literally any type of emergency or situation that could possibly arise. And if for some reason the situation comes across that isn't in that playbook, after it happens, they immediately add it to the playbook. It covers tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, a hole in the roof from a branch falling, a car driving into the restaurant. You can drive a car into Waffle House and they're still planning on staying open. The playbook even has detailed plans for every type of disaster for what the local employees, while they're not working, should go home and do to make sure that their house and their family are safe as well. Every single Waffle House has a backup generator. The stovetop, it runs on propane, and they have a bunch of extra propane tanks on hand. Flashlights, candles, batteries, backup water. They have a special menu of what they're able to serve when the water is out and they're running on reserve water. When a Waffle House location is going to be in a disaster area, that Waffle House stocks up on extra food, and then all of the neighboring locations in the unaffected area also stock up and stage food there to get them more food when they need it. If Waffle House is a standing structure, those motherfuckers are serving breakfast come hell or high water.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving!
Waffle House is so good at this that FEMA uses them to gauge how bad natural disasters really are. Yes, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, literally uses the Waffle House Index to gauge how bad a disaster is. Okay, green, Waffle House is running as normal. Yellow, Waffle House is using the backup generator or having to use an altered menu. Red, Waffle House is closed. People are probably already fucking dead by that point. Waffle House is literally the Terminator of the fast food industry, okay? The fact that the federal government, probably the most powerful entity on the planet, maybe ever, looks at a chain of restaurants and is like, man, if Waffle House is closed, we need to mobilize the National Guard is fucking crazy. Now, maybe you guys are thinking the same thing I was at this point in my research, and I'm like, man, I need to invest in this company. I need to see if I can open up my own Waffle House franchise. This company's awesome. And this is where the bad news comes in. I mean, technically you can franchise a Waffle House, but most of us probably can't. The company is privately owned. It's not on the stock market. It's still owned by the families of the original 2 founders. And while they do allow franchises, they are super picky about who they let buy in to have a franchise, and they make it very, very expensive to buy in to make sure this is actually what you want. And while that is unfortunate, I think it's actually kind of awesome. It's a company that actually has morals and cares about their image more than they care about next quarter's profits, okay? It's a company that has committed themselves to making breakfast under any circumstances, and they're gonna see that through till the very end, even though they could probably make way more money by just selling franchises and letting whoever the fuck throw up a Waffle House. And now for the fairy tale ending, Joe and Tom worked together as best friends for 62 years to build Waffle House into what it is today. They both passed away at the ages of 97 and 98, and now Waffle House and their legacy lives on as that company is still being operated by their kids, and that is the American dream. Get together with one of your best friends, pick a goal, even if it's something as simple as serving breakfast to people, and never let anything get in between you and achieving your goal, even hurricanes and floods and natural disasters, apparently. Work with your best buddy for 62 years straight, and then die together and hand it off to your kids. In conclusion, Waffle House is the most American company ever, and that's why I love it. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
That was not the Waffle House backstory I was expecting. But you know what? It's awesome. I did not know that backstory about Waffle House. Honestly though, I respect the absolute hell out of a company that won't just let just some random person come on in and open a franchise. I can respect the hell out of that. Like, I know that the client I work for, you can't, they're completely privately owned too. And it shows in their like packages and everything that they're not public, with a bunch of like ugly stockholders making stupid decisions. So big respect to that. Big respect. Close this one. Definitely an interesting one. Alright, let's see what else we got. Damn you, 10 cent. Not 10 cent. No! See, what else do we have here loaded up? So I think I covered almost all the videos I want to do today. I think. Then we got, well, let's see what else we have. You know what? We're gonna do another file electrician video. We're gonna do another one. One that's a bit older, so I don't feel so bad. We can just grab this, I think. Oh wait, I gotta scroll up here real quick. Do I have the entire screen? Do I have the entire screen? Yes. Yes, we do. Excellent. So we got the fat electrician unrolling history of military-grade toilet paper? Which I am very confused, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay for my confusion.
And all my notes and everything completely ready to do a video on Sergeant Reckless, and then this happened and completely derailed my entire train of thought. My wife somehow found and then accidentally bought, or bought it on purpose to upset me, single-ply toilet paper.
Oh my god.
Today we're talking about military-grade toilet paper, which is honestly going to be a brief history of toilet paper, and then it's rapidly just going to devolve into me yelling my frustrations at the existence of single-ply toilet paper,
my God,
also known as military-grade toilet paper, or John Wayne toilet paper, because it's rough, it's tough, and it doesn't take shit from anybody. So if you're here to learn about military history, sorry, not going to be a whole lot of that this week. But if you wanted to watch the world's angriest, most unhinged TED Talk about bathroom habits, well, you're in luck.
Or are you?
I make dad jokes without trying sometimes, apparently. Anyways, our story begins at the dawn of mankind. People have always been wiping their butts, it's just a matter of how. And until very recently in human history, you were kind of just stuck with using whatever you had readily available. If you lived in the woods, you would use some leaves, maybe some moss. Apparently, if you lived near the ocean, you would use seashells, which I don't really understand, but whatever.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
Then mankind advances to the point that we start recording history. We know that the Greeks were wiping their butts with broken pieces of pottery. We know that the Romans used a communal sponge on a stick that they would then just leave in a bucket of vinegar next to the toilet for the next guy, which is disgusting. And then it's also pretty well documented that the Native Americans and Pilgrims were wiping their butts with corn cobs, which I have questions, but I'm also not sure I want answers. Fast forward to 590 AD, China is credited with the first use of toilet paper, which makes sense because they invented paper. Now, fast forward again, like 900 years, nobody else is using toilet paper yet. It's 1455, and King Henry VI has just created a new position in his royal council, the Yeoman of the Stool. This job title is awarded to a man by the name of William Grimsby, and for the rest of his life, his entire job is to clean the king's butt. Then after 30 years of being the royal cheek cleaner, he retires, the position gets renamed to Groom of the Stool, and I'm not kidding you, one person has held this position from the years of 1455 to 1901. The English monarch has always had a royal butt cleaner. And this is the part where you're like, okay, where's the punchline? The chubby electron guy's just trying to make fun of Great Britain again. Like, no, this is real life. There's no punchline. It's documented. It's actually documented, every dude that's ever held the position of royal butt wiper from 1455 to 1901, and most of them got knighted for it. Could you imagine that guy hanging out at the bar with all the other knights like, hey, how'd you get knighted? Let me tell you, man, I've seen some shit. Fast forward again, 1799, we're like 40 years into the Industrial Revolution. America has won the Revolutionary War against Great Britain, officially upgrading from the USB to the USA. It is at this point that the mass production of paper begins. You start seeing things like the Farmer's Almanac, the Sears catalog, and overall scrap paper becomes much more readily available, and that's what people start using to wipe their butts. Which is actually why today, if you look at the Farmer's Almanac, there's a black dot in the upper right-hand corner. That's so you know where to drill the hole out so you can hang it on a hook in the outhouse. It's kind of like an homage to the history of the fact that the Farmer's Almanac was primarily used as toilet paper for a couple hundred years.
Hey, reading material.
So Farmer's Almanac, Sears catalogs, and outhouses are pretty much the toilet standard in North America for the next 100 years. Then, late 1800s, indoor plumbing finally becomes more prevalent in like hotels, fancy businesses, and really rich people houses. Also worth noting, we could have had the flushable toilet way sooner, because despite the fact that they weren't really around until the late 1800s, it was actually invented in the late 1500s by a poet by the name of Sir John Harington, but the entire idea was suppressed by Queen Elizabeth I because Sir John Harington was critical of the English government at the time. So she decided that she was going to take his blueprints, have one made just for herself, and then never let it see the light of day for like a couple hundred years. So yeah, she was literally sitting on the only toilet known to mankind and hogging the technology all to herself. So go ahead and add that to the list of reasons that the First Amendment's important, because without the freedom of speech, some government official might come along and literally deprive mankind of flushable toilets for like 300 years just because they don't like what somebody's saying. So then, 1897, an American inventor by the name of Joseph Gayety invents the world's first commercial toilet paper. He kind of markets it as like a medical tissue paper for the bathroom that's supposed to be better for you than the Sears catalog or the Farmer's Almanac. For one, it doesn't clog up your toilet like those do because it dissolves in water. And for two, it hasn't gone through a printing process, so it should be healthier for you because the printing process back then incorporated like lead ink and arsenic and all other types of hazardous chemicals that you probably shouldn't be pressing up against your dirt button every day for your entire life. And the entire idea is kind of a huge flop because the American public is too shy to actually go out and buy toilet paper because I guess at this point in time, it was taboo to let anybody know that you pooped. So rather than selling directly to the consumer, he would end up doing private label stuff and selling it to like hotels and all the businesses that had toilets. So instead of having like the Gayety brand of toilet paper, he would have, you know, such and such hotel would have their own private label packaging and he would sell it directly to them. And that's kind of how toilet paper got off the ground. Then over the course of the next 50 years, indoor plumbing becomes even more common amongst normal people. Toilet paper really takes off. And then in 1942, St. Andrew's Paper Mill does something revolutionary, something that has changed the entire face of mankind. The genius scientists working for this paper mill said, holy fuck, we should just sell this. And from that point on, everybody ditched single-ply toilet paper and only made 2-ply or greater toilet paper for the rest of human history because that was the right ethical thing to do, is what I want to tell you, but that's not the reality we live in because somehow single-ply toilet paper still exists and it's bullshit. Okay, maybe I'm out of line, but I like my toilet paper the same way Pixar likes their moms. Thick, okay? Not only am I mad about this, I'm legitimately confused at the science that goes into this technology. I mean, how they get it to be so sharp yet so fragile at the same time is terrifying. Buh! You know, single-ply toilet paper might actually be better for the environment because you're saving trees. Buh! Okay, look, do I like trees and want to help save the environment? Sure, why not? But let's be honest here. There's a time and a place, and the minute your finger breaks through that single-ply toilet paper, fuck them trees. Okay, I'm just trying to get clean and get back to work. I don't need to get in touch with my inner self. Furthermore, it's definitely not gonna save any trees because the minute I realize that it's single-ply toilet paper, here's what's gonna happen.
2 hours later.
Because I'm like 250 pounds, it's summertime, and I know that with the slightest amount of gooch sweat, that first layer of single-ply toilet paper is going to dissolve on contact like a fucking Listerine strip, okay? I'm not taking any chances. Unless, God forbid, I'm in a public restroom and some corporate executive has decided that he's going to raise profit margins this year by really cutting back on the toilet paper expense and installed one of these fucking things that rations toilet paper. These things should be illegal. It's cruel and unusual punishment and false imprisonment.
I have never seen one of those, and I'm going to consider myself grateful I've never seen one of those. That is wild.
Okay, I went into this bathroom thinking that I was just going to have a normal bathroom experience and go on with my day, and now I'm in a fucking Saw movie. Hello. I want to play a game. Okay, we have to stop this because the way this is going, it's 2023 right now. I guarantee you if we don't do something about this, by 2030, I'm going to have to watch an ad on the toilet paper dispenser before it gives me a single sheet of single-ply toilet paper. And I'm going to have to go through 45 minutes of ads just to get enough paper to wipe my ass next time I have to go to the bathroom in public. So if you're like some high-level executive or a CEO or some marketing guy at a big company and they come to the table and they're like, we're really going to cut down on toilet paper expenses this year, that's why we're going to increase profit margins, hear me out. Don't do that. Just be like, go the exact opposite direction of everywhere else and then run an ad. Imagine if you went to a gas station and that gas station had ads that were running on TV that were like, come to Fat Electricians, Taquitos, and Gas, where we have medium-grade toilet paper because we think that if you're smart enough to shop here, you're also smart enough to know how to wipe your own ass. It's a really good marketing strategy because then every time they go to a different gas station and they see this shit, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this gas station doesn't trust me to wipe my own ass. I should probably go to Fat Electricians, Taquitos, and Gas. I'm putting that on a shirt. Fat Electricians, Taquitos, and Gas. We trust you to wipe your own ass. It's gonna be perfect. I'm so worked up about this, I'm just gonna have to run for public office. That's gonna be my entire platform. I'm gonna abolish single-ply toilet paper and then leave you alone. It's the only thing I can do at this point. I mean, if we can strong-arm Apple into starting to use the USB-C port like every other phone on the planet, we should be able to abolish single-ply toilet paper. So I guess, in conclusion, if you made it this far into this extremely unhinged TED Talk, thank thank you. Hopefully you learned something about the history of toilet paper, or Queen Elizabeth I suppressing the toilet because she doesn't believe in the freedom of speech, or something along those lines. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang.
Oh, boy.
Out. Now I have to go buy real toilet paper, then I'm going to finish my Sergeant Reckless video, and then I have to decide if I'm either going to run for public office or open up my own chain of gas stations. I've not got to do an angry rant video in like almost a year, so I guess it's time for one of those. I just don't know what topic I'm going to do it on yet.
Is this the right kind of toilet paper?
No. Where did this, like, army toilet paper? Where did you even get this?
Oh my god.
Sweetheart, we can afford like the medium grade toilet paper. This toilet paper is so thin I can see the future through
God.
it.
What's the future hold?
Poop on my finger, more than likely.
Oh my god. That was not what I expected from that video. What the heck? Oh my god. Not the toilet paper rabbit hole, what the heck? Oh my god. So I think that's actually a really good stopping point, I think. I do appreciate all y'all that came on out today. I appreciate all y'all. So all the video segments from today, aside from their most recent one from the FAP files, will be posted later today. So I appreciate all y'all that came on out.